Hey, StarFluke, StarFluke Angels, StarFluke Game Angels here. So I am starting work on this game character and praying for a little motivation and influence as I continue to model this character out. So I just wanted to say, so far in Blender, blender.org, the free 3D, amazing, incredible, awesome art, game, animation, video, drawing app at blender.org, I have completed getting my polygons and faces is what we call them. Faces, my 3D character polygon faces. We can go to right here to scroll. Let's see. Oh, yes. We're in object mode. So we select the character or the object. And then we click and we go to edit mode. And now we can edit the polygon faces. And that's this little blue box right here. Click or multiple nodes and faces. So that's the whole polygon there, the polygon. And then edit undo to get back to where I started. And then there's edges. And so I switched to edges. And you can select just the edge of the polygon to edit. And then we have vertex. And so we can just select a point of the vertex like this. Click Alt-A to deselect. And then we can select just the corner there. And that's a vertex on the point to edit the character. So we have faces, right here, faces, edges, and vertex points. And if we come down here and we scroll and we click on this little double box to toggle the X-ray on, we can see through our polygons. See, we can turn the little wheel and go in the inside and the outside. And then we can select a little point right there, on there, and move it. So that's the vertex. Now I worked a long time in Cinema 4D, and it's similar 3D app, kind of like Maya, 3D Max, if anybody remembers that. And they have different names, similar but different. So sometimes I say the wrong word, like points, we called them in Cinema vertex points, and here they're just called vertex. And faces, polygon faces. Well, they're not really called polygon faces, they're just called, if we go hold our mouse over this in the top menu in edit mode, it will say face selection mode, select mode, and then faces. So we can click and drag, like if we leave the toggle X-ray function and we make it so that we can click on a bunch of polygons, we can select that, and then we can get on the select tool and hold it, the mouse down, and come over here to either select circle And then we can drag, and we'll select the polygons in the back on both sides of the character. But if we turn it off, we disable it instead of enable it, then we can select just the polygons usually right in the front, and it won't select anything in the back. And then we can edit them. So we can size them. We just select them and get on the scale tool. And if we click and drag on the white area, then we can edit our faces, our polygon faces. And we can click and hold our mouse over the blue and drag up and down, drag it, and just size the faces of those polygons we selected. And we can drag them vertically. Or we can click on the red, and that's the Z axis, and we can size them horizontally. Or wait a minute, the Z is the Z, the blue, and the X. We're on the X, so the red is the X. And the Z is this is Z, and we call it sometimes the Z axis. So that's one of the ways to edit the faces and the sides of the polygons. The edge of the polygon. So if we select one polygon face, and then we drag right here where this is, we can make like an eyeball there, an eyeball socket. We can drag it out. Oh, we're in, and then hit E. We can go face, extrude faces, or we can select the E on the keyboard as a shortcut, and then we can drag, and it'll give us a polygon face, and that will give us kind of an eye socket there. Ooh. So that's just a quick look on editing the faces. Pretty simple, not too difficult to do a little modeling. And then we can click E to extrude and drag our mouse. I have a scroll wheel that I'm using. Went back a little bit far. Dum, dum, dum. We have a couple little eyeballs there. Hi. And then we can just be creative. It's simple. We don't have to be perfect. And that's how we learn. We don't learn unless we fail. And then we can go, we're in edit mode, and then we can go out to object mode. We can stay in here, but let's go back and forth from object mode to edit mode. Now we're in object mode. And we're going to click add up here in the top menu, add. We're going to go to mesh. And then we're going to add, let's add what should we add? Let's add a cube. And then, let's see, we don't see our cube, so our cube popped in. Where is it? There it is. It popped in. We have a little over here in this little menu, this red circle, red and white circle with the plus in it is a cursor. And if we click on our screen, it will leave it. And wherever that little red cursor is, when we add like a cube, that's where it's going to be. So if I click here and I say add mesh cube, it'll pop in right there. Oh wait, you can delete this one. Then I'm going to go back up here to the select box tool, and I'm going to select the one in the back, and I'm going to hit delete and delete that. I click delete on my keyboard, and I'll delete this one, and then I'll stick with this one. And then I'm going to click, and I'm going to get on the move tool, the third one down here on this little cursor menu. You can drag it out so you can see the words. And if you can't see in here, and you have like your eyes or a small screen, you can go up here to edit, this edit menu, and come down to preferences to the very bottom of the menu, where you see that little icon that looks like a let's see. You go, let's click off this and do that again. You go edit, and it looks like a little gear. So you come all the way down, you go to edit, preferences, and you click on it. And up here at the top where it says interface, you get this set of functions, this menu. And it will change, the menu will change if you click. So on the interface, you say display. Under display, go to resolution scale, and you drag it. And you can see right on the fly, while you're doing it, that your font will change. Your font size, which is so cool. Because if you're tired and you can't see, or it's dark in the room, or the sun is shining, you can always edit and change your display settings right on your. This is one of the things I love so much. So write that down, practice that, and so now the font is bigger, and you can see what I'm showing you is that in this little menu, the tiny white arrow there. You click on it, or you hit the T. You hit the T on your keyboard, and this menu will pop open. So we're going to come here. We're going to get our box. Click on our box, and we can click and drag this over. And we're in object mode in this little menu, and we're going to come down here and go to edit mode. And I think we can do this function in both either edit and object. And while you're on this little box, you can hit, you can look over here in this menu and see if this menu right here is in your way. You can click drag it, or you can hit N and move it out of the way for a minute. And then come over here. This is our editor box, our editor functions. So if we're selecting on an object like the box, we're going to get this menu. And we want to come down here in this menu to this little, it's the little blue wrench. It says add modifier. So click the box in object mode, and then in the editor menu, in the properties editor menu, they're all editor menus. In the properties one, go down to the modifier and add a modifier. Make sure you have the box selected. And you can see after we added the cube, that we have a cube right here. I can turn it on and off on this little eyeball, and we'll be able to see that we have it or don't have it. And so there's our cube up here in this menu, editor. It's editor type. And then down here in modifiers, we can add, we want to add, go to generate, we want to generate a subdivision surface. So we go to generate, and then we come way down here to subdivision surface. And then we saw that our box changes if you look right here. And what we have are different levels that we can put. There's an unseen subdivision modifier that's basically affecting the box that we have. So you can imagine something that you can't see wrapped around it. Kind of like the Lord and the Holy Spirit. You don't see him. Sometimes you can see him in the spirit, but it's there. And what it does is it adds more faces, polygon faces, to your cube. So I went to 3, and there's 2. So what I'm going to do is, with this, we're going to make a little circle. Since we are working on low poly characters in our game, for our game, we're trying really hard not to add too many polygons and make really cool materials and textures painted to put on our low polygon objects at StarFluke Games. So instead of choosing up here, I could have gone to add, in object mode, add mesh, which is another word for the polygon object. It's a mesh, it's a whole bunch of polygons. Mesh, and I could have added a UV sphere is what it's called, and I'll do that. But first I'll select the cursor, the red and white checkers with a little crossbar on the middle of it, cursor, and I'm going to click right here. Let's see, I'll zoom out a little, and I'll move around the scene with the hand. I click on the hand tool. It's right there. Hand. See the hand. And then I'm going to put the cursor right here. And then I'm going to go add. And I'm going to add a mesh UV sphere. So I'm going to make an eyeball for the little eye socket that I made, and what I want to show you is that for those of you who have never worked in 3D and you're just learning about it, notice how many faces, polygon faces on this guy compared to this one that we just made. There's tons more. So in game design, we've been studying, game design for so many years, and it's a lot funner to add a whole bunches of objects that are low in polygons, that have lower faces. So if we select this and we go to edit mode, we can see them all. They're all selected. And there's a lot of them. And there's more. It's nice and round, though. But we're just going to do a simple character with lower polygons and make eyeballs. So we come back out to from edit mode to object mode. And I'll select this guy. The eyeball. And then I'm going to go to object mode, back to edit mode. For some reason, I'm still on this guy. So let me try that again. I don't know what happened here, but okay, so yeah, so what we have done is we put the eye, I believe, inside of the game character. And so I select her, and I go to edit mode, and what did I do? Lock the ball? Well, you can see how many polygons she has too in edit mode. So, okay, so I had accidentally locked the cube over here. If you look in the menu to your right where it says cube number 2, I had accidentally touched that without realizing it. So this little arrow, it says, if you click above here on this little, what looks like a felt pen tip, you can see selectable. And we added that on there. So when you click it, you're not able, you enable it, you're not able to select it. I'll turn it back off. And that helps that, you know, when you're working in here and you get a bunch of objects, you don't want to accidentally move something from its position. So that's good to know. It's almost like locking it in position. So, and I can change the name of this cube by saying I'll leave it I cube. And that'll be a little bit easier to find. I'll move that out of the way. Okay, so here we are. I'm going to delete the UV sphere. I was just showing you that. Delete. And then I'm going to go back here and click on this cube. It was a mesh cube. And when you start with the mesh cube, it doesn't have very many polygons on it. So you can see if we add another one, mesh cube, down here, it has only, and I go out of object mode and into edit mode, it has what? 4, 5, 6 sides, six faces, 6 polygon faces. So cool. And they can be edited. And then I just wanted to show you. So a lot of times you can, when you start modeling in here, you can just start with a cube, something that has low polygon faces, or you can start with a sphere or one of these other objects that has a lot more faces on it. I think if we get on our cursor tool, we select it, we add something like, let's say a cylinder. So it has, you can see how many faces it has on it. And then you can add more and separate. So you can start with all these different objects and start shaping them any way you want. It's really fun. And you'll see, I'm going to just finish up the eyeball in this. And I'm going to go back to object mode and I'm going to select that cube and delete it. And that, what was it called? It was called cylinder. So, okay, let's get back on this cube that we put this subdivision modifier on it. And we added just 2 levels to it. And I'm going to resize this to about, real small. This is going to be our eyeball. So I'm on this scale tool, and now I'm going to click on the move tool. And I'm going to hold my mouse over the red arrow and drag it up here. And another way to move something quickly to a position is using the cursor tool. So if I select the cursor tool and I click view and I go to viewport, viewport front, it looks like I am turned around. So that, no surprise. But okay, let's go to view, viewport, back. Okay, looks like I've got things flipped around, but it makes everything flat against the grid. And now what I can do is I can zoom in on my little eyeball and on my character, and I can select the cursor. Then I can just click right here on her eye. And now that the cursor's there, I can, and I'm in object mode, and I think you can do it in object or edit mode. But now I will, whoops, I just accidentally clicked. That's one thing. You have to go back and forth from the select a box tool to the cursor. Because as soon as you click, you're going to move the cursor. So I'll put the cursor tool there, and then I come back to the selector, the box. So we have cursor and selector. The white arrow is the select box, and the red and white circle is the cursor. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to click back onto the select box. I'm going to come down. Whoops. I don't know what I did. Okay. Come on. Okay, now I'm on it. And now I'm going to select the cube, and I'm going to now go back up and get on the move tool, because once I'm on the move tool I can see the arrows, the Z, the move selection arrows. And now I can move this around. I can grab the white and move it, circle and move it where I want, or I can move the red like so. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to click Shift S on the keyboard. But now that the eye is selected, I'm going to click Shift S, first Shift, then S, and I'm going to get a menu. It's going to give me all different kinds of options. And I'm going to say selection to cursor. So the selection to cursor option is I have the eye cube selected, and then when I hit Shift S, I'm telling this selection that I have to move to the cursor that we put in the eyeball. So that's this top one up here. So I've got the menu is usually going to pop up wherever you're holding your key, wherever you're holding your mouse. And then I'm going to move my mouse to it and let go, and that moved the eyeball to where I had the cursor set, which is so cool. And when you practice it a few times, you know, you can just practice it. You can do like, you know, you can add a cube, but we'll do edit, undo that. And we'll remember to get on the cursor, and I'll click here and we'll say add a cube, mesh cube, and then we can go back to the front view or the back view by clicking the one key or the control one, or we can go view, viewport, front, back, side, left. So I'm going to stay here back, and I'm going to put the cursor here, and I'm going to say Shift S, selection to cursor. And so you can practice it until you get it down. And that's the best way, just adding objects and then getting into the swing of that. And then you'll get your stuff placed, and you'll remember to use that instead of, you know, in the 3D space, sometimes I'm getting back on the select box and then on this. Sometimes when you're in a 3D space like this, it's like you're trying to move something to where you want it, and you're like, wait, what? And it can take, you just sit there forever and trying to get it, and then you're like, oh yeah, you know, go to front view, or go to the view where the grid is flat behind the objects, and right here we go viewport, and then we go to top. So if you're wanting to put something on the head, you know, or on the top of something, then select the cursor, put it where you want it, and then get back off of the cursor to the move tool or the select tool. Now add what you want, a light, a box, and it will be right, it will come in, it will import right to where the cursor was set. So we can put a light on our head. Let's pick a light. Okay. So now I will click up here, move around, and there's a light there, I believe, somewhere. And here's another really good, important trick right away when you're learning, is that, okay, if you want to find something that you put in your 3D space over here in your menu, and you get a bunch of stuff in here, you hold your mouse, this mouse, over the window, either this window or this window, and you click the period key on the numpad of your keyboard. Boom, and it pops to it. So like if I get moved over here and way over here, and I hold my cursor here, I click the key on the numpad, it's going to go right to that spot that I put the cursor. So it's very helpful to learn that right away when you get in the 3D space. And remember that you can just go to the different viewports, the top, the viewport, top, back, front, right, and then you're going to have the grid behind you. But as soon as you move, you're going to be off the grid. So all you have to do is, instead of going view, viewport, front, there's keyboard shortcuts, or you can just click these little Z, right here on your screen. There's different ways to go, but this is the way I usually like. I like to relax sometimes while I'm working in animation, and things go a lot better peacefully, and practice. So I believe we added a light, but I don't see it. Add sun light. Oh, there it is. It's around. I wonder why. Let's see. What's the issue? I might have it. Oh, it is. I must have it hidden. I can see the shadow. Let's look over here. The sunlight is here. And I'll get back on this, and that's part of it. Oh wow. Let's add something different. Every once in a while I just get stuck. I'm going to delete it now. Sun. And I will delete that. So maybe because of the box I'm in. So I'm going to select the top view layer, or the scene collection. And then I'll try that one more time. I'll put the cursor over here. And I will go to the grid. And I will get on the arrow tool. That might help me see it better. Okay. Or not the arrow, but the move tool where the arrows are. And now the cursor is there, still on our head. And I will add a light. Sun. Okay. Now I can see that at least the light is probably hiding inside of her. So I'll move it out here. Oh, another reason is the lighting set. Oh, there's always something in here. So, scene lights, light world. I'll turn that off. Okay, now that the scene world lights are turned off, I can see the light. Hallelujah! Okay, so now you can see the light here, and then if you move this around this dot, you can see the light on it. So getting back to where you put your cursor matters when you import stuff, because a lot of times you're like, where did that go? What's that? You know, where is it? So I'm going to delete it and hit delete. And seems like I'm still having a little bit of an issue, but okay, so let's add a different object instead of a light. Let's come down here and go add mesh, and let's add a torus. There's a little halo for her. So there's an object, but it went right onto her head. And I'm going to delete the box. So I select it and hit delete on the keyboard. So it's important to start using the cursor. And there's just so many things to learn. It's so easy to forget. And then now that we have an object to in the 3D space that we've added, I'm going to quickly make another window, right click on the top menu of space, right click and then horizontal split, and it makes another window, and you can add whatever section you want. So I'm going to add the properties, and then in properties we're going to come down here, and this should be the properties to the donut. What is it called? What do we add? Torus. That's right. And it has some options in it where you can edit it. And I think we want to go into edit mode. So we're in object mode, and we want to go to edit mode. And now we have some options to edit this little torus. And that will be fun. Now I haven't played with this torus much, but let's see, where are some options? Right here, all of these. But we got the torus right where we wanted it, and I think that you can resize it and do all kinds of stuff with it. I just haven't done it. I don't know how to play with this, but I think maybe up in the tools somewhere around here. So object, yeah, this is an object, a little square. There's some functions here, scaling it on the X and the Y, and anyway, okay, so that's very cool, isn't it? Just so cool. A little donut. We could just make it into a little rubber band for her ponytail if we want, I guess. So you can play with all of these objects, and it'd be a lot of fun. Staying relaxed. I'm on the scale tool here. There we go. And then there's a little rubber band for her hair. So we can always, you know, splurge and on something and make a fun object. So there's a little rubber band for her hair. There's a whole bunch of polygons. So there's a lesson on the cursor when you're adding objects. So let's go back to her eyeball. We've got a rubber band for her. And now we'll go back out because the torus is a separate object from the character. We have to go back into object mode and now click on the character and then go back into edit mode right here. And I believe that her eyeballs are separate object too, yeah. So we can go back out to object mode. We go back and forth. We can use the shift key, or not the shift, but the tab. Excuse me, the tab key. And I can select her eye and pull her eyeball out. I can resize it with the scale tool. And there's shortcuts for all of these. Everybody's into shortcuts, but I don't know, I get a little bit overwhelmed with shortcuts. The shortcuts and the menus options are here. Keyboard shortcuts, but I think it's overkill sometimes from my head. So there's her little eyeball, and I'm going to duplicate her eyeball, and we can see her eye cube right here. And we can actually do a search for eye, and that will clear our menu a bit, and then you can see right here. There's her eye cube. I can turn it off and on in the editor window. And I want to duplicate it, so I'm going to select it, and then I'm going to click Shift S on the keyboard, or actually Shift D, and then I'm going to drag over. Now I can do the special and edit undo that, and I can hit Shift D, and then not move my mouse. And then I can hit X on the keyboard, X, and see the line that just came up, the pink line. Now I can drag it and it'll stay on the X axis. So I can move it and position it with more precision. Precision! Okay, there we go. Ooh, there's her little eyeballs. And I can, what I want to do, I want to see how there's a smoothing that you can add while you're in Blender. So you can select it, and then you can go Object. I think it's, where is it? Oh yeah, are we in edit mode? We've got the cube around our eye now that we're in edit mode. And if you want to change that, you want to go back down here to the properties box window, come down to the wrench where the modifiers are, and then in here, this is where we're affecting the eyes, the modifier. And what we can do to turn the box off is click this little triangle. We can turn it on, and then we won't see that. We'll still be able to edit eyeball with these six, where the lines are, which makes this a lot easier to edit when you have a modifier on it. And look, with her eyeball out, but I can now edit undo, and then I can just get back on the select box, and I can click just one of the faces, the polygons, and then I can edit that side of it. So I can make it smaller or bigger, or so that's what's really cool about working inside of the subdivision modifiers. And then if you don't need the subdivision modifier anymore and you want to add it to the mesh, you can just say, come over here to the little black arrow, subdivision, and go right here, click down, and hit apply. But the apply button isn't active right now because we're in edit mode. You can only do it in object mode. So we'll go back to object mode, and now we can apply. Click apply, and we'll apply the other one. This is probably why I couldn't add the smoothing. Apply. Okay, so now they're just another object to mesh without any modifier. And now when I do go to edit it, I won't have all of the polygons will be able to be edited just like this instead of the simplified modifier. So I'm going to go back out to object mode. I think I can add smoothing here. So let's see. Now if you want to select the whole piece of the object while you're in edit mode, just move your mouse and hold it over the eye and click L, and it will select the whole thing. That's really cool. So I can pull it out, and let's see if we can find it smoother. Probably I can't because I never use it. UV face. Okay, well, let's try in object mode, going from edit to object mode again. Object, yeah, here we go. Apply, transform, set, add, let's see, select. Where is it? I think we can right click on it. Okay, there's the right click. It's somewhere in the menus up there. But I can say, I'll move it out so you can see what happens when we do this smoothing. Right click, shade smooth. And it made it a little smoother. You can see that. So it looks softer, which is nice for a visual. And then I'll select this guy. We're in object mode, so I can just click on it, the whole thing. But if we were in edit mode, then I click, then I would just select one of the faces. So remember, go ahead and hold your cursor. To deselect it, you can go Alt A, and then just hit L, and then that will select it when you're in edit mode, the polygon. So let's go to object mode. There we go. So we have two eyeballs that we're working on there with our little character. And we can move them in there, and we can resize them or whatever. But what we're going to do next, in this next lesson, I'm going to make a new lesson, and we're going to just put a material on our eye so that we can have some color to paint on. White looks good, and then we could make a duplicate. But we'll do that in the next lesson. Okay, all right, this is StarFluke Game Angels. Woohoo! Praising Jesus, loving God, and loving man.